Welcome to the Film Garage 208 podcast. My name is Sarah and this is Daniel.
Hello.
Hello. And today we have with us Krystal.
Hello.
Hello. She's photography by Krystal.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you guys for having me.
So you're based out of East Idaho?
Mm-hmm.
Do
Correct.
you live in Idaho Falls?
I live in Rigby.
Oh, okay.
I was born and raised in Rigby, so I just have my
Born and
roots
raised
there.
in
How's that?
I love it. I love it's definitely changed a lot, but I definitely just love Rigby for
In
sure.
what way? Like, is it
No,
busier?
it's not in the simple aspect. When we moved into my house, my parents' house, because I still live with my parents, just because the economy, you know,
Same.
like it's
okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's the economical thing.
Right. And it's honestly, I love my mom and my dad. So it's fine. We did not have a lot of neighbors, right? We're not in the city. Like we're out in this, it's called Grant, right? And so it's like, you don't know where it's at. It's fine, right?
You
It's
could
like,
have said any name and I would have believed you.
right. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So it's like and so there's just a lot of population growing in the area, but it's always like, there's just been a lot also in Jefferson County. And so it went from hanging out in backyards and like riding your bike on the road, no problem, to like, I don't know if I want my kids to do that. You know what I mean? And I think that's just our area in general.
Sure.
But I definitely, like, we used to just ride our bike on the road, no helmet, just like mom's like, be home by dinner. You know what I mean? Like, and
No,
now
like you're going to get hit by a car. Everybody's
literally.
speeding around over there.
Yeah. I was driving here this morning and we live off of like, not a highway, but it's a more busy road out there. And they literally turned onto our side road at probably 40 miles an hour. And I was sitting there at the stop sign, like they're going to hit me. Like it was like race cars. And I was like, guys, nobody's in that big of a rush. Like nobody is, you know what I mean? Like it's, I don't know. I'm like, we all are in a rush sometimes, but not enough to
like that's a little bit dramatic
I think it's
at that
the
point.
the texting thing that scares me. That's where
I
like I could see
cannot.
that fear coming into play because people are just so much more distracted now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, like
No,
how
for
many times
sure.
you just sit at a light and someone's just like,
And then,
I
for
can't
sure.
It's like-
stand that.
It's
Especially around
terrifying.
so that
here.
does make sense. Like why you could be more scared too. There's just like a lot more distractions.
Exactly. 100%. And we live off of a road that
And
has
cars are
gotten,
faster.
Exactly. That and people are more confident, right? And so they're like, I can do it. And we live off of a road that has had multiple accidents on that crossroad because of where the sun sets in the
Is it that
summer.
county line one?
Yeah. So it's not county line, it's Louisville Highway, but it crosses through county line.
Okay.
We live like a mile from county line.
Yeah.
Anyways. And like, when I tell you people have been paralyzed from accidents out there, like motorcycles, semi-accident, like people
Yeah,
running.
those country road intersections are the worst.
Yeah. It's just so terrifying because I've witnessed them too. And I'm
Oh my
like,
goodness.
this is no thank you. No,
Yeah.
thank you. Like kids, backyard. When I have them. I don't have any kids yet, but I'm just like, no. Please stay home.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
That's why we keep our daughter locked in the basement.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
We got to these days, right? Like,
It's true though. She needs to get out more.
yeah.
No, I was
Sunlight.
kidding. Keep her locked in the basement.
Okay. So we need more background on you.
Yeah.
So when did you get into photography? What's
So,
going on?
I've actually thought about that a lot recently and like I've tried to like nail it down a little bit better, but I was on the yearbook staff for Rigby Middle School in my 7th grade and 8th grade year.
Fun.
And
They had that for middle school?
yeah, so
Wow.
I was in charge of like the cover, like nobody had like specific jobs. They were just like, make the yearbook, right? And so like we took photos on auto, right? We did that. We designed the cover, we designed the layouts, like all these things of a 7th grader that should not be doing that, right? We should have an advisor directing us. Did not. She was the librarian. She was the librarian. So she would check in books and be like, go work. And we'd be like, okay, let's go design a page, right? Our 7th grade.
Interesting.
Yeah. It was really, I don't want you to see it, honestly. And then from there, I just loved cameras, right? And so between 8th grade and 9th grade, I went to Arizona for about a month and a half to work with my aunt. She owns a store down there, and I worked all like that entire time, like 7 days a week, to come home and to buy my first camera.
That's great.
And so I bought my camera and I bought a bike is what I bought. So my priorities in life right there.
It was a good month working
Right,
then.
exactly. And so I bought a Canon Rebel and from
Classic.
Walmart and just, did the did the things that I needed to do. And then from there, I took off my 9th and 10th grade. I did not do yearbook, but then my 11th and 12th grade, I did yearbook at Rigby High School, and they have a phenomenal yearbook. And so it was just such an amazing program. They had amazing cameras. They had amazing, like, we would travel to go learn about stuff, to like design and stuff. And like our yearbook is like nationally ranked for like one of the best yearbooks. And so, yeah, it's like cool to brag about, but it's not cool to brag about, you know what I mean? But it's like,
is it still doing?
Yeah. Cool. So they've had it for so many years. I don't even know how long, but yeah. And so with that, our advisor, he just also taught photography in high school. And so I took photo 1, took photo 2 during COVID. So I didn't really learn much because he was like, take a picture of a
When did you
fork.
graduate high school?
I graduated high school in 2022.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, so I'm 20.
I was like, that's why they offered that in middle school.
Yep.
That was not a thing for me yet.
Yeah.
Yo.
And so with that, go ahead.
I was gonna say we had yearbook club.
In high school.
Oh yeah, high school, not middle school.
Middle school.
Well, I didn't even know.
Yeah.
Maybe. My yearbook was ugly, so probably.
I know. I'm like, let's not look at the yearbooks from it. I don't want to see the pictures. I don't want to see me in it. I don't want to see the design. No, none of that.
In their defense, it was Lewis and Clark Explorers, which is like pretty unexciting. So
yeah, it's like, whoa.
Like,
so you graduated 2022 from Rigby High School?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so my 2 years, I had an amazing advisor that really just like preach photography, right? Like he would tell you anything you need, any questions. And I'm a very heavy driven question person. So if I have a question, I'm going to ask it. And so if I ever had a question, I would ask him, right? And we learned studio, we learned like sports photography, we learned portrait photography, we learned like so many things. Like we learned lighting, we learned like all these things that like you can't really learn outside of like an actual class.
It's hard to find.
Right.
For
like
sure.
how do you
all
know,
in one place.
right.
Yeah. No, that's really cool.
And so he taught so much. And
Who is this teacher?
His name's Michael Feek. So Mr. Feek at Rigby High School, he like
has
really,
he been there for years?
He has. Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so he really just teaches everyone. It wasn't just me. Like so many people learned so many things. And he always invested in the club also because it was a club, but also a class, right? He invested in it also. And like, so we had like a Canon 1DX. We had Canon 90Ds. Like we had the 28 to 70 like lens. We had like everything.
You could play around a little bit. Yeah.
And we went to like Boise for state like championships. Like the school would send us there to take photos, right? And so it was just so many opportunities and it was so fun. And then from there,
like unheard of. That's so weird.
Right. It's like who gets that opportunity? And so I'm so grateful for that because I really think that has put me where I am today of just doing what I want to do and having the knowledge, because so many people are so confused in photography because they're like, I can do it, but I don't know how to do it, you know?
Absolutely.
And so, really just learning all of that. And so that's how I kind of am them. I was raised with confidence. Like if you want confidence, just have confidence. And it, you know, that's a whole different story. But I was like, I'm going to take pictures of my friends. I'm going to, you know, go do this. I'm going to go do that. And then finally in 2021, I like started my business. So I made an email, right? I like made sure I had all the things,
official
taxes, all the things. And it's slowly growing, but I couldn't be more grateful for what it is because it really is organic. Like I have never really done anything that I feel like not necessarily is against growing organically, but I really feel like I have grown it from the ground up and I'm so proud of that, if that makes sense. So, yeah.
It's hard to do when it's photography because there's a lot of competition and
so much.
Just starting
and you're
your
really just selling yourself and
Yeah.
It is. Totally. It's selling yourself when you're a photographer and like your creative abilities and what you have to offer. So do you have like a niche or what is your?
So for a while there, it was anything and anything. Yeah. Right. Like you're just going to
try it all.
Try it all. And so then I upgraded my camera and I did my first wedding in 2022. I'm not 100% sure. I'm like, what year is it even
How'd
now?
that go?
It went good. It was a very low key wedding. It was like a Catholic reception. So I was just there during a service and then did a reception.
Okay.
It was good. It was great. Like it was nothing that
Pretty
I'm like
chill.
Right. So chill. And then from there I was like, I don't know if I like weddings just because it's just like, it's
a long day.
it's a long day. And like, not even the stress, because I can handle stress, but it's just like, there's no creativity in it if you're not hired for like a decent wedding. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, capture this and I want to pay you the lowest dollar.
Or like
Real
hired
weddings.
to get a specific look. Then you're just getting whatever.
Whatever it is. Like, you know, I'm just there to, and that's like cool if that's what you want to do. And you can charge. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And people can charge whatever they want to charge. And you do make more money, I guess you could say. But in hindsight, like, depending on what you value, you might not be making money in your eyes at all. And so I do have a couple weddings, but I really like to pick and choose like what weddings I do, just because I don't want any wedding. I'd rather take any session, like a senior or anything like that, over any wedding.
Sure.
And so I've done a couple this year. I did one in June. I did one in July, I think. No, yeah, June, July. And then I actually have one this weekend also. And I have pivoted quite a bit recently of going from anything and everything to, I want to capture the feel of more of a Western lifestyle, right? And so with that being said, that's a lot here, but also it's really niche here. I feel like surrounding the area from like Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, Utah, I feel like it's, people obviously are Western here, but they're not. And so, and it's just a completely different vibe. And I want to be more particular of what I'm actually capturing and being proud of what I'm creating rather than just like clicking a button, right? As everyone does. So
it's important to have like a niche of like what you like to do per se.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I love doing seniors and families would have to be my or couples. So would have to be my top 3. I really love a branding session in the right element of a branding session. Like, there's so many different ways that you do branding sessions, right? And so it's just like in the right element, beautiful, and not the right element, just not my vibe. But and that's okay, right? And I'm also to a place where I'm like, hey, like, I think this photographer would be better for you, and like, it's okay to do that because there's enough to go around.
Sure.
So
yeah, if you're not getting the vibe that they're kind of wanting, you're fine with passing up on that.
I've had a lot of experiences where I didn't pass it on, and I got disappointed in myself at the end because I wish I wouldn't have done that.
I see.
I really wish I would not have done that.
Because it just wasn't the vision that you like thought, or
it wasn't even that. It was just maybe the experience I had with the people, or the experience I had at the session of just like, we didn't like, not necessarily saying that you need to click with everyone you work with, but I didn't get along with people, or they caused more chaos than needed to be because of the type of people they were. And I'm just like,
interesting.
I don't feel like that was worth my time.
Sure.
In that class that you took, did they ever talk about the like people management and relationship?
Actually,
that's a big key.
That's a huge thing. So we honestly learned the camera is what we learned in those classes, which is a great foundation.
Sure.
But I work at a salon part-time, and I do business for their salon. I do pretty much everything but hair and payroll is what I do. Inventory, client, like management, stylist management, all those things. And she has an amazing program that she runs her salon through. And so I've learned so much from just working with her, just in the simple aspect of like the professional verbiage, right? The approach. It's not how you say it. It's like also not what you say. It's how they hear it. Like, you could say the nicest thing, and if they want to hear it mean, they're going to hear it mean. You know what I mean? And you can't learn that until you learn that.
Oh, 100%.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's not necessarily a struggle, but it's also been really nice to set those boundaries.
That's definitely something that I think a lot of other photographers struggle with is like the people management part.
Yeah.
And when you have clients and like telling them what to do sometimes, or like their relationship, it's an interesting type of thing that you never
But you're
realize.
right, it doesn't always click. There's just some people who just
and it's so weird because sometimes they're like, I love you. Right. They're like, no, I've even recommended other photographers. I've sent websites, I've sent contact information over for them. And they're like, no, I want you. And I'm like, okay. You know, I'm like, what do you do at that point? Because I'm like, I've already multiple times I've told you no already. And it's like, obviously I could
as
be
long
like,
as it's
no.
not for like a bad relationship thing, you know, like if they're being mean or like insulting you or anything, if it's just purely like preference, then I mean, that's a good thing.
Right. Exactly. 100%. And so
you're
that's
like, hey,
where
well,
I
like it. So,
and so that's why I took it. But I've also had other experiences where I was doing a favor for like a friend that moved out of in a bad situation and moved out of the state, and they needed a wedding covered. And I was like, she was very starting out. And so, but we worked together and it was just super fun. And so I was like, yeah, I'll do this favor for you. And that experience in itself, I will never do again. Like it was not her, it was the client that I was like, these clients don't know who I am. They didn't like my editing style. They didn't like anything. And I'm like, I understand that, but you also saw my website. I sent it to you. You signed a contract, like all these things, and you caused havoc in my life. And
it's hard when it's like a discount too.
Yes.
That's where, what was it? We saw someone post where it's like, let's just pay each other equal worth and then like enjoy ourselves.
Right. Yeah.
Because the whole time we're just going to be like nickel and diming in our head or like upset that I'm being overworked or like whatever, you know, because it's not a fair agreement or whatever.
Yeah. And it's so hard. Like I was like a third of what I was supposed to get paid for it and 3 times the amount of work. And I was like, I'm going to delete all these.
Yeah. It just gets so discouraging.
Yeah, it really does.
So what have been some of like the biggest hurdles you faced in transitioning from like learning about this all to actually applying it and like running your business?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think the biggest hurdle that I've gone through from like being a kid to being a business owner, right, is like I feel like an easy way to describe that is I was a kid learning is really figuring out what I wanted and sticking to that, right? Everyone can tell you what you're supposed to do and what you're supposed to not do and like all those things. But at the end of the day, it's my business and it's like really figuring out what I want, not what my husband wants or not what, the client wants or whatever. I'm like, I'm in charge here. Yeah. And it's like,
it's your life.
It's my life. And I get to make those choices. If I don't want to work on Friday, I don't work on Friday. But it's also at the same time, I have to keep myself accountable to that. Because if I set that boundary, I need to stick to that boundary. And so really it's like, I think self-reflection of like, what are my goals and what is my purpose of doing this? Because if I'm just doing work for everyone else and I'm not doing anything for me, then don't do it. Like I'm like, then why am I doing this? Why am I even thinking about doing this if it's not saying that I need to benefit every single time, but I also don't need to be working every single time for something else that's not going to benefit me ever again.
Because like you're Gen Z, right?
Honestly, I don't know.
I think like
I was born in 2004. I don't know.
Gen Z.
Yeah, okay.
You're Gen Z. And I'm like,
you are.
Sarah. Is it? We need to talk to Jesse.
I don't know.
I don't keep up with that, so I'm like, you could call me a baby boomer.
I'm like
and be
literally
like, yeah.
the last year of millennial.
My phone's over there. I can't.
I'm on the cusp of like your generation and the bottom of millennials who are like older.
Yeah.
Okay. And like that's the complete different perspective shift.
Yeah.
Of like how you're gonna live your life is like you're gonna do it on your own terms.
Yeah.
And not work for the man and like.
Yeah.
I get it.
Right. I get it.
I totally get it.
Right. Yeah.
And it's very interesting to see. Like you're fresh out of high school.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
It's
I get
like,
asked that all the time.
Good for you.
Right. I get asked all the time, how do you do it? And I'm like,
but that's
I just
what
did
a lot
it.
of people
like,
do.
I don't know. Like,
I think you have to make mistakes faster, learn faster.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, we worked in retail and we would be hiring like 22, 23.
Don't
like
even
those years.
Yeah.
No, 22. And it was hard to find employees because we worked at like Abercrombie and Hollister. And we were like, where's everyone working? What's everyone doing? And then we were like, they're doing their own things. They're literally selling their own products. So they're starting their own hustles.
Yeah. See, and on the flip side of that, I feel like, because I never really thought about it like that, of they're doing their own thing. Because I'm like, I hire now for the business I work for. And sometimes I interview and I'm like, how old are you again? Like, it's so hard because I'm young and so I'm the same age as them. But then like sometimes just the way that they're like, oh, I only want to work 1 day a week, right? Coming out of school. And I'm like, no, like that's not how I'm like, and like, if that's your dream, go for it. That just doesn't work for us in our salon company.
Sure.
But I'm also like, in my opinion, you do have to hustle. You have to work until you can actually pull back on a day or you can, and I'm like, you can't start with 1 day. You really can't, in my opinion, because you don't learn anything in that. You don't have dedication in that. You don't have repercussions of that, right? And there's repercussions of only working 1 day. Don't get me wrong. But like...
No money.
Right. No money, right? But also you don't learn how to talk to clients. You don't actually learn how to manage yourself because you really don't have to. You just...
Those are like the people... Yeah, that are probably, they're just not there yet.
Right.
They're just not there yet.
I think that, and I think it's a generation thing too, of like just that shift of like the way I was raised versus like the way other people might have been raised, of just like in all reality, they're still kids. Like, and it's okay that they're still kids. And it's like, I honestly think it's a generational thing completely.
I think generational, I think there's a lot of things.
There's geographical is
like
huge
family
too. Dynamics.
Yeah.
But yeah, totally.
There's a lot of things that go into it.
It's okay.
No, it's totally fine.
At the exact same time, I'm like, good. Let's see how this is going to change, because it should change. It should evolve with everyone, no matter what. Because if it doesn't evolve, might as well just
we're all constantly evolving and growing.
But I think doing your own thing definitely forces you to learn a lot about yourself, no matter what it is. You know, as your
failures,
career. Maybe. Yeah, well, any kind of like
success,
like entrepreneurial thing or something you try to take on yourself. You just learn a lot versus being like in just a job where you're just told what to do.
Exactly. You need to show up at 8. Okay, I'll be there. It's like, no, okay, I have this podcast at 10, so I need to make sure I'm up by this time. Because if I'm late to that, then, you know, like it's on me and not on someone else.
Totally.
Yeah.
Which makes it so much more fun when you have success.
Yeah.
Because then you're like, that was on me.
You're like, that was me.
You did it.
I want to wake up again at 7 o'clock, or I want to wake up at 5 again to do that again. Yeah. No, it's so fun.
So you said you work at a hair salon also. Yeah. And then you also mentioned you have another side hustle.
I do. So I own the Zest Barn.
Busy.
Yes, very busy. And I like it that way. Everybody's like, do you even have a minute to breathe? I'm like, I loved doing it all.
Like this was fun.
This is fun to me, right? So I own, it's called the Zest Barn, and it's a 2-horse trailer that's been renovated, and I sell fresh shaken lemonades out of it in the summertime. Nice. And so the big like deli containers that you guys see like at the fairs and stuff, that's the lemonade I do. Okay. And so I go to different events like Manan, 4th of July.
Wait, you were at the fair?
I was not at the fair. Nope. So that's another business. Honestly, don't even know who owns them. I feel like it's changed so much, but I'm just like, I did apply to go to the fair, but they were like, we already have lemonade people. And I'm like, okay.
Well,
I'm like, there's enough to go around, but okay. But
seriously.
So you do like catering for that, or like what do you?
So I've catered to like Mountain View Hospital and Ermac before. I've catered to Idahoan Foods out in Louisville. With that, I have catered. I've done like special events, and then like I also
weddings or anything.
I want to get into weddings so bad, but I've not gotten a wedding because I feel like people here don't have the money for weddings like that. Like you know what I mean? Like they're just
to
like
make it worth it.
To make it worth it, because I have to have an expected amount of like, I can't just be like 4 lemonades. I'm like, no, I'm not coming. You know what I mean? And so some people just don't have that budget because it's like a really simple
Mormon wedding.
Exactly. You know what I mean? And like, it's just a quick turnaround, and they're like, we're just gonna, we don't have the budget for that, which is understandable, but I would love to get into weddings. I really would. Yeah.
Yeah.
How much does a lemonade cost?
So lemonade costs $6.50 for
like
32
a big,
ounce.
like,
Big old like.
That's not bad for a giant one.
Right. It has fresh lemon squeezed right in front of you. It has.
Do you ever just park it around like parks in the summer?
I don't, just because I have so many other things going on. So I really just like sign up for like events, different like car shows or
do you
stuff
do
like
it
that.
yourself? Okay.
So me, my husband, and my mom have been to every single event.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm looking, hopefully that because this is our 3rd season starting.
Yeah.
I'm looking to like not have to be at all of them because it's so draining.
Yeah.
Like it's so draining.
Do you hand squeeze them or do you have like a machine?
We don't have a machine. Well, okay. In the beginning, we didn't have a machine. This year, my dad made us a machine because he's a very like tinkery guy, and it's worked, but it also has some quirks. And so in the new season coming, I don't know what we're going to do, but we're going to either buy a machine that's just like made for it, or we're just going to need to iron out some kinks in the machine.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, our first year, when like we catered to Mountain View and did like over 300 lemonades, we hand squeezed with a muddle every single lemonade.
That sucks.
Yeah, it does.
How did you get that job?
Like doing Mountain View. So it's actually a really cool story. So I went to a car show at Fairwinds Retirement here. I think it's retirement. I'm not sure, but it's a retirement home or assisted living home. Yeah. And they had a car show, and I showed up and maybe sold 2 lemonades for like 3 hours that I was
with
there.
With your whole trailer and all the
trailer,
things. Oh,
bought the supplies, right? And lemons don't stay, right? So if I overbuy, straight to the garbage. Ice doesn't stay. Or I can cut it in the freezer, I only got so much freezer space.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Doesn't stay. Water stays and syrup stays. So that's great. Showed up and I was like, this really sucks, but guess what? Like, it's just about the game, like moving on with life, you know? And they actually reached out to me because for Nurses Week, they or some kind of like Doctor's Day, Nurses Week, whatever it
I remember
was,
seeing
right?
that around.
Yeah. They wanted to cater in to Mountain View to like say thank you to them and stuff. And what was really cool is my mom has some connections. She works for Mountain View Hospital and she not owns at all. My mom works for Mountain View Hospital and then like manages Idaho Healthcare Institute, and it's a nonprofit here in Idaho Falls. And she just has some connections, just the way that they've had to set up there.
Sure.
And so Fairwinds like catered in 150, and then we served the rest of them, and Mountain View matched.
Nice.
And so
Nice.
Mountain View paid for the rest of it. And so that was just super awesome because that took care of a lot of expenses going into the first year, buying the equipment, buying all the things. It really set us up for success for season 2.
Yeah.
So
That's exciting.
yeah,
It's really cool.
And then you use your photography skills to promote that business.
Yeah.
it's actually so funny. I struggle so much with social media for that business. So much. Like I can be on my photo account every day, like, hey guys, what's going on? Right. I struggle so much with that business.
marketing that
business. And I market for other businesses also. Like I do social media for another business and I'm just fine at it. The moment it comes to that business, I'm like, that's not going to get me anywhere at all. And I know that, but I just like brain fog when I come to that part. And I'm just like, this is not helpful at all. I need to fix this. But here I am. Just, it's a power struggle in my brain every day. I think about it. I'm like, I need to post.
Right.
I need to reach out to
to
people.
make it like a challenge for
Right.
yourself to.
And I want to so bad. And it's so funny because I manage other social medias and stuff. And I literally told my husband, I was like, I think we should outsource social media for that company. And he's like, are you silly? And I'm like, what? And he's like, that's literally half of your job is social media marketing. You're
Well,
going to
that's a whole
outsource it.
job.
Right.
So you're already
100%
running
is.
this business. You're
Yeah.
now literally muddling lemons.
Yeah.
I would say
Now
it's a
you
good
can't
idea.
do marketing.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm like, we have to see where the approach is, but I'm definitely like, I just don't care to do it. Is the worst part about it is I do not care to do that social media.
That's so
I
funny.
would just like hand it
You have
over
to treat
someone
it
else.
like it's like another one of your clients and just forget that it's
100%,
yours.
100%.
Literally.
And I
though.
think the also really hard part is like
When
with
you're
photo-
working when you're there.
right.
That's
I'm
also
working when
hard.
I'm there,
Yeah.
so I'm not
Yeah.
like
You're too busy
everybody
for
stop.
this.
Let me take a picture.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
I don't
you're
have
not there.
content for that business, and so that's the hardest struggle.
You have to make that like mom's job.
right.
or
See,
like-
and that's not mom's job. That's
Yeah.
not mom. I'm like, I'll put mom on the window before I make her be like, Mom,
Take the
I need to
pictures.
take a video. You know, she's great, but I'm like, to the caliber that I need,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
I'm like, because then the hard part is I have a really creative brain. So I'm like, I need this, this, and this. And then if I tell her that, she's like, well, how do I do that? And I'm like,
I don't
never
have time
mind.
for
I'll just
this.
do it. I'll
Like
just do
I'm
it.
now
Yeah.
doing the whole job again for you.
Yeah, literally. And it's just, and I'm a very business oriented person like my dad, but my husband is not. And so it's like, honey, I need you to do this. Okay. Now I need you to do this. Okay. Right. And he's just like, I'm just there. I'm like,
Maybe give him the social media job then.
maybe.
Say walk around with this.
True.
Because you can have like a whole personality. Like that's
Yeah.
the thing nowadays to be
It
like
so is.
goofy to an extent.
It means
So
you have
can
to
just
work
let 'em go for
overtime,
it.
you know,
Yeah.
if he's over there with the phone. But
Right.
like
But I'm like, I can do that. I can pick up his pace. So
then
he's-
yeah.
Okay, so many people struggle with pricing their services. You have multiple things. You have your drinks, you have your photography.
Yeah.
I guess let's go with photography.
Yeah.
Since that's your thing you're on for.
Yeah. So I guess just like how I got it there, or what's kind of like, what do you, I guess.
Yeah, how'd you settle on your pricing? Like when
Yeah.
you were like, I'm starting my business.
Yeah. So before it was just like fun money, right? So I was like, $50, right? And then very, very, very beginning.
Oh yeah, us too, for sure.
Right.
Mhm.
But now you see it, I feel like at least I see it all over social media, but you really have to think about all your expenses, right? Your softwares, your like equipment, your time, your mileage, your, you know, and also your creativity. You need to charge for that. And you also need to charge for your ability to do things, right? Because I will say right now, and you know, clip it people you want to, everyone can take a picture. not everyone can be a photographer at the end of the day,
yeah.
in my opinion, right? And I will stand by that. You can,
I agree so much. Yeah.
like, you can have a camera. You can buy the nicest camera. It's still on auto, okay? You can add a preset. It's still a preset, right? But if you don't know how to actually dig into things and actually control your equipment, I'm like, my mom can take, my mom took my fall photos, right? She clicked a button after I did it all. My mom's not a photographer, right? She can click a button, but she's not a photographer. And so really just like having the confidence to understand that and be willing to be like, okay, yeah, you know, I'm going to charge for my softwares, right? We have Adobe running constantly, and that's always a charge, right? I have my like delivery platform, my website, my equipment, right?
There's so many
It's so
People
many
don't
things.
realize the charges that we
Yeah.
are dealing with constantly.
Right. You have Canva that I need Canva Pro for one thing.
and
So
nowhere sells it outright. It's all a monthly fee.
Right.
So you basically, once you start it, you're like, well, I'm paying this till I die.
Right.
Or until my business is over. Like it's
Right.
kind of like,
Yeah.
and there's
gotta-
no other option,
tough
right?
pill to swallow sometimes.
Because when it's like, when you do it for 1 year, you're like, okay, I could quit it. I mean, I can't quit it now for the next year. Like I have to pay another $500 for that because everything's on that. So I'm like,
It makes it a lot harder to cut costs.
Yeah.
Like maybe versus a normal business where you could say like, I'm going to switch from this cup to the cheaper cup to
Exactly.
save X. Like at certain times with this business, you like can't cut corners and
Right.
things just are what they are. And
right. Like,
like
for example, I just
expensive.
bought a couple months ago, which I'm so sad about, but I bought a new camera body to try out. And it was a 5D Mark III. I'm not on the mirrorless game yet. I just have not switched over. I'm a Canon person, diehard, and so I bought that
Just
because
get
I
a
wanted.
Canon mirrorless.
What?
Get a Canon mirrorless.
I'm terrified of mirrorless though. I'm not ready for that.
We can talk
switch.
later, but
yeah.
you
Okay.
want to. Trust me.
So, which is probably going to hurt you a little bit more, but I bought that camera, and because I went from a 90D, which is a crop sensor, and I'm like, I was losing quality so fast, and where I was picking things up, I needed a full frame. So I switched to that, and I loved the quality, but then I was losing so much of like the things I had on my 90D. I didn't have the autofocus tracking, right? And that's huge when you're like,
Yeah.
go run through a field, right? I'm like,
Yeah.
freeze, let me,
Yeah.
right? I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was just really frustrating. And so I was like, but I also just put out that money. So like, what do you do? Right. And it was like,
You're
I
like,
can't
well, I got to just figure it out.
figure it out. So I kept it. And then I bought a lens that just malfunctioned. So that's great too. I bought the 24 to 70 millimeter Canon lens, and the lens sensors are like erroring out every 2 photos. And so I'm like, I need to get that service now. Right. And I'm like,
When it rains, it pours.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
that's expensive too.
Yeah.
It's like, ugh.
and so from there, I was like, okay, but I still don't like my camera body. And so from there, I was like, I need what the 90D had for like the touchscreen, the new technology of that, but I need the quality of like a full frame camera, right? And so then I've looked into mirrorless, and I've just heard so many things are hard to edit with. And I'm just getting comfortable or like happy because the coloring's different is what I've heard on mirrorless of like when you edit photos. Anyways, I don't know. Never had a mirrorless, so I can't argue that, right? And so I actually just got in last night a 6D Mark II, and it has what the 90D has, and it has the full frame and quality of both of them. So that was another expense, right? But I'm like, to make sure my business stays on track,
Yeah.
I need to buy that camera body, and it's a need, right? But honestly, it is a need because I was not happy with my camera body at the time, and so I was not producing the quality that I wanted. It was
That's
a lot
literally
harder.
your business.
Right. It was so much harder for me to do a session. And then I was like, well, this isn't even worth that. Or, you know what I mean? And so it's like really evaluating my product, my equipment. And then from there, right, you want to set a price that you know you can still achieve, right? If I'm going to set $4,000 for a couple session, nobody's going to do that in East Idaho, believe it or not, right?
Most likely not. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. I might have this random person from the hill that's
You'd be so lucky that
I'd
this-
be so
yeah.
lucky. But no, right? And so just finding that happy medium of like covering my cost for what I'm putting in, but also making sure it's not too high for my clientele base because everybody has a different clientele
your
base.
target market,
Right,
yeah.
your target market. And so I really think I'm in a happy spot right now. Will it fluctuate? Probably. I mean, our economy is weird right now. People are not paying for like full photo sessions. They want $20 ones off of Facebook Marketplace, which is fine, right? It'll all come around. It all works out.
Facebook Marketplace.
Right.
Just all those groups on Facebook.
Right.
They're
I'm just like,
hilarious.
but just really trying to just persevere and move forward, because I know things will come.
Yeah.
They're not going to come back to what they were ever. We're not going to I'm not saying, let me restart that. We're not going to come back and like be exactly how we were pre-economic whatever, right? Change. But we will come back around to people valuing things and spending their money in different ways.
And you don't want to undervalue yourself just because of that. You can't reverse the work that you've done.
Right, exactly. I'm like, I just can't charge. I have to charge more than $20 for a photo session. Like I would be so silly. And I try to explain that too to some newer ones. And I'm like, sweetheart, the gas alone costs you more than that to get there. You have to think about that. They're like, I haven't thought about that. And I'm like, but you need to think about it, because you're literally costing yourself money. Why would you do something that costs you money? Like unless it's for you, unless it's for your benefit, you know? Like if I'm like, let's go do a style session. This is what I want. This is my dream. This is what okay, that's going to cost me, right? I'm not going to expect them to pay for if I'm asking them to do something. But if I'm not, and they're coming to me, I'm not going to waste my money on that.
Yeah, totally goes back to like the managing people and just like managing expectations.
Yeah.
When we worked in retail for Abercrombie, we went through a big price shift. Like we were a little bit cheaper back in the day, a little bit more like a Hollister and stuff.
I remember that.
And we stopped. We would always have sales, constantly having sales. And people would only ever shop during those sales.
Yeah.
And so then we literally stopped for like years. No sales at all. No sales. And it would be like $50 jeans instead of like $25 jeans. And then maybe Black Friday was like one of the only sales. But then the whole corporate was telling us we are retraining our customers for what they're going to expect from us. So it's like the reverse end of like, this is now how I'm going to make sure I'm perceived. And that's the expectation from here on out.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting to be
That is interesting.
We're training our customers to know that this is what we are
right
now.
And it was expected to be long-term, a couple years, but it worked.
It worked.
It did. I mean, look at
prices are up. They were like, after COVID, they were the most successful they'd been in like years.
Wow.
Well, then it'd be funny when someone would come in and be like, oh, these jeans are on sale. They're only $65 today. And it's like,
and then they buy three. And
that was over double what they used to be. And now you're like thinking that's the,
it
so
worked.
it is like, it's the psychology. Yeah. Just,
no, for sure. And it's crazy that it works like that.
But tougher in an area like this to have, because there's just less people. Like if you're in a city, you have a lot more options for people who probably want to do creative shoots and things. And
they're always going to complain.
Someone's always going to have an opinion.
Like you said, maybe it's like it's
always
in the different price brackets. Maybe the lower might be more complainers,
right?
And like they're complaining over what they're not paying for. 9 times out of 10,
when I have like a discounted session, they're never happy, and I'm just like,
well,
why are you not happy?
We did lacrosse photos, and we did them as like a great price, a really great price, like per individual kid. It was like $35.
Yeah.
Like and we gave them like a couple variations. They were so cute actually, and like not your typical like Bell photography ones.
Yeah.
Like it was different. And we were still getting people like kind of sending us like a little bit harassing messages being like, where do you think you live to be charging numbers like that? I'm like,
what?
It's $35 for...
Wow.
Are you kidding?
Right.
Are you kidding?
Right.
So it's the
audacity.
No matter what, there's always going to be something.
Yeah. And I'm like, I would have never.
So just
my
knowing
mom,
your own worth and holding to that and not devaluing yourself.
Exactly. And some things that people say, right? Like my mom would have never questioned someone like, what you charge? My mom would have never sent that email. And I'm like, people are sending those emails left and right these days. And I'm like, people have the audacity. I'm like, it's crazy.
Social media has changed
100%.
Yeah.
We're all trolls inside, catfishing people.
Literally. Yeah. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah,
Literally.
keyboard warriors.
Right.
So have you done any kind of collaborations with other businesses around town?
Yeah. So Collaborate, I guess, define your collaboration, I guess.
Oh, social media giveaway or
Or a meaningful
something
relationship that benefited you both.
Yeah, that's a great
partnership
question.
you did that,
Yeah, so I have done like lots of giveaways. I've done giveaways with other small businesses. I've done giveaways with like the salon that I work for. They have a pretty good following. And so like, you know, giving away a free session or a 30-minute session, just because like I also work for that company and I appreciate those clients too. And so it's just kind of an appreciation too of like, it's okay to give, right? It always pans out, right? And so I've done that. I've done many giveaways on social media, you know, back to school, the holidays. How does it work?
Well,
like,
do you get good response from that?
yeah. So some of them, no, right? And then other ones, yes.
So I'm like, I feel like for us personally, like not great.
It's funny how many people don't reach out. We
Yeah.
have like 3 or 4 people who have won giveaways, just like haven't called us.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to follow up with you.
No,
Like,
exactly. I'm like, I'm not trailing your tail.
but it is
like,
funny how many don't use it.
It's just
And-
interesting. Or it's like the temporary follow and then the mass unfollow afterwards. Where
Right.
it's like, okay, that wasn't real. That wasn't
See,
worth it.
I don't think I've ever gotten to a point where it was like this huge following from a giveaway and then a huge unfollow. I might, you know, get a couple unfollow. I mean, I'm constantly getting people unfollowing me, but I'm also constantly getting people following me. You know what I mean? So it's like my numbers have never dropped so far that I'm like, what is going
That's
on?
weird.
Right.
Yeah.
But with that also, like, I definitely had some giveaways that benefited me way more than other ones because of the quality of people that were following me. Quality of people is not right. The
Well,
right way to say it.
Yeah. The demographic
quality-
you wanted.
Exactly. The quality of like the relationship we might be able to form, I guess you could say, from people. If that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah. No.
Because
Yeah.
numbers doesn't mean business.
Right. It doesn't.
It doesn't mean business. As many followers as you have, it doesn't
Right.
matter.
Right. I could have the exact same 2 years down the line and be that much more.
Like, are those people actually purchasing from you?
right.
And like, yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, how many of those are no longer accounts? How many of those are like accounts that they deleted or they just are not active on
Moved
anymore?
away or, you know.
Or that they decided they no longer need social media, so they just deleted the app, right? And there's their account's still there, but it's like they're not there, you know? So it's like, and it's so weird. You're 100% right. You could have 50,000 followers and still only get 500 likes. You know what I mean? And it's like, make that math make sense.
Yeah.
You know, and there's
but nonetheless
algorithms
correlating
and stuff,
just
but
sales.
Yeah.
Like, so one perspective, so we have this one video that with our friend that is at 42 million views right now.
wow.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Insane. Like you click on it, it's at 12 years of watch time.
Wow.
Insane. We were like, let's make some merch. Let's try and correlate those numbers now into sales.
Yeah.
We made like this one shirt and we're like really trying to get him to push it. But still even that, no sales. We're like 42 million views on this thing and then trying to correlate like a merch that goes along with it and
Yeah.
like a singer, still no sales.
Yeah. Where it just shows that like, yeah, the views don't truly mean that
It's
much.
how you
like,
leverage it and use it.
but
Yeah.
then there's some
Still,
people who've
it's
done
interesting.
a lot less views and actually made a lot of money.
Yeah,
So I
it
mean,
just depends.
It's
but
the type. It's the type of viewer I really think. You know what I mean? It's just like
exactly.
it depends on who's there.
Yeah.
So
So
Yeah.
interesting perspective.
Yeah.
So do you have any advice for someone who's wanting to pursue their own career or passion?
in the most simple way, just do it.
Okay.
Right. And that's like not trying to be like
Nike.
or whatever. Right?
by Nike.
But like, honestly, like if you want to do something, I started my lemonade business in 2 weeks. I saw the idea over on the East Coast on TikTok.
Literally, there's like that viral not the bike thing, the bike.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Have you seen that one?
I've not seen that. But there's a girl that had a horse trailer that is over, I don't even know where she's at, but she's on the East Coast somewhere. And I saw it at 10 o'clock at night one night. I said, honey, I want to do this. 2 days later, a horse trailer was in my front yard.
Like, perfect.
Literally.
Yeah.
Right. And people sit on things. They like, well, is this going to be this? Is this going to be this? And of course you have to take in those things into your business, but also I wanted to do it. Let's do it. right? And it's not a huge overhead, right? That was not a huge overhead at all. I bought $1,000 trailer that needed a lot of work, but I can put in the work and I made it look okay. Like it's a horse trailer, right? But it's still cute.
The risk versus what you had to offer.
Right. And so even if I had to close down today and be like, nope, we're selling the trailer, we're not doing anything, I would be fine.
Yeah.
Because I don't have this millions of dollar overhead for a business because I'm hoping and dreaming for something. I start small. I'm going to try it. I'm going to persevere. I'm going to figure out the failures. I'm going to rework it. But also on the side of that, the only way that I think that I am where I am today, I'm not saying I'm successful, but I am successful. Everyone has their own version of success, is the people around me, the people supporting me, but also the people that are not supporting me, right? The people that don't support me have taught me a lot of things, but the people that support me have given me a lot of surrounding to be like, no, you're okay.
Opportunity.
Keep going, right? Like you're fine.
Yeah.
Or you are capable of doing that. And it's like my parents are just so amazing. I will say that. I'll say it on the rooftop, right? Like my parents are so amazing and they have supported me through everything in life. They've been to every dance game, dance recital, right? Every rugby game for my brother, every BMX race that we had, everything.
Yeah.
And when I wanted to do this, they were camping, right? And I was like, I'm doing this. And they're like, okay, I'll be home in a couple days, right? My dad gets home. We start tinkering on things. We start putting things together. And before you know it, I'm painting a trailer that is ready to sell lemonade in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Because guess what?
Yeah.
I wanted to.
You took the first step and did it.
You just made it happen.
Right. If I left it up to my husband, we'd still be talking about the idea right now because he'd be like, that would be cute, wouldn't it? I'm like, it would be.
It's those moments of like when to hop on the idea because constantly we're always like, oh, we got this idea.
Right.
And it's like, okay, do we do this?
Right.
Do we do it right now?
Right. And it's so crazy because the lemonade was at the fair, like the Eastern Iowa State Fair. And I knew what the lemonade was and I loved it. But I started my business and now the amount of lemonade trailers that are around here is crazy. If you actually pay attention, I went to an event
see them everywhere.
Everywhere. And I'm like, first of all, where did you come from? Second of all,
they all saw the TikTok you saw.
Probably, right? And I just jumped on it faster. But like I went to an event last year that had 3 lemonade trailers at it.
Wow.
Yeah. And you're like,
that's weird that they let 3 lemonade trailers in.
Yeah, that's a whole different story that I'm like, can we
won't
think
talk
about things?
them.
Yeah, but it's just honestly, if you have one thing, if you want to do something, do it and find people that will support you. Yeah. Because if someone came to me and was like, I even had a friend from high school that was like, I want to start a t-shirt business. And I was like, let's go to dinner. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about just owning a business, right? Because people like the idea of it being fun, but people don't realize what comes with the
literally
fun.
doing that work.
Right. I'm like, so I asked him, I said, who's going to build your website? Right. And he's like, well, I was just going to figure it out. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, go ahead for it, right? I'm like, who's going to register? Like, do you know how to register your business? He's like, no. I'm like, I can help you. Like, if you really want to do this, I'll help you, right? And I'll support you. But no, X, Y, and Z are coming with the fun of the idea of the money or the, you know what I mean? The freedom.
The more responsibility of making it official.
Right. And it's like, it's so cool. I think businesses are the backbone of the area. Like if we didn't have the small businesses we did here, that we would just be another.
There's so many small businesses
So
here.
many small businesses and so many starting up still and becoming so successful.
Yeah.
I just think that if you want to do it, just find people that want to support you no matter what, whether it was a book you wrote, whether it's a business you want to start, or whether it was, a sale that you want to share, right? Just find your crowd and make sure that people around you actually care for you because that's what matters in the end. So
support for sure.
Good advice.
Yeah.
Critical. So critical. Where can people find you to look you up after this?
Yeah, so people can find me on social medias. So Facebook or Instagram at Photography by Krystal, along with TikTok. I just posted a TikTok before I walked in here. Okay. So, and that's more like personal life. It's not too businessy, but definitely has some, just my life in general. And then if you want to follow my personal page and not business, it's just Krystal Barnes. On Instagram and Facebook. So
great. Well, thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, of course.
Can't wait to see where you go in a couple of years.
Yeah,
You have so
literally.
much going
Thank
on,
you.
so
I appreciate that.
It's exciting to hear.
Bye.
Thanks.
We'll see ya.
Bye.